All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about Codespaces. For many of you, this might be something a new information. So this is like a different environment where you can use to develop your code. It doesn't have to be in the GitHub. It doesn't have to be in the Visual Studio Code. You have alternative option to work on your developments. So basically GitHub Codespaces is configurable, so which allows you to create a customized development platform for the environment for your project. So by configuring a custom development environment for your project, you can have a repeatable Codespace configuration for all users in your project. So let's understand how exactly it looks like. So when you start creating a Codespace, its life cycle begins. Then you can start rebuilding the existing Codespace. Then you can stop the Codespace. Once you delete the Codespace, the entire life cycle ends. So this is basically like a Codespace. So if you want to see the code space which you have created so far, you can go over here and see what all code spaces you've been used before. And if you don't want any of this, you can just delete the code space over here, so which will delete your code space and free this particular memory. Now when you go to your billings, let me go to the settings. Now when you go into the billings and plans and usage, when you scroll down over here, you will be see some code spaces allowed for you. Now I'm using a GitHub Pro version, so I'm able to do around 180 hours of GitHub code spaces and storage up to 20 GB. Now if you are using your personal account, then it might be very less for you. Now at one particular point, if I completed my 20 GB of code space usage, the GitHub won't let me to use more code spaces. Either I have to delete my existing code space and free up the memory, then go and use it. Now we have different template where we can create the code spaces. So before that, I have to give you a complete information about how you can create a code space. So there are multiple 4 ways where you can create a code space. One is like from the GitHub template or any repository. For example, on GitHub, let me go into any of the repository over here. Now again, I don't want to go and complete a complex one, so I'm just selecting the simple one. So here you can start the code space just by click on the .com, change that into dev. So now the code space will be started for this. So this is like basically a Visual Studio web editor for you, and you don't have to install any of these things. Even you don't have to have a pre-requirement of Visual Studio installed in your particular system, so you can access it online. So what happens is like a virtual instance being created for you in particular cloud platform. I mostly believe like Microsoft is using Azure for this. And now you can see it's the exact same thing which you can open on the Visual Studio. Now you can open your code base over here, you can preview it over here. So this is like an amazing way to edit. So you don't have to always open your system and try to do pull requests. So this is like an amazing way for you to edit. So now you have different code spaces, one for viewing and one for preview. So now you can, here you can code and here you can do the preview at the same time, right? So this is how the things works. For example, if I change my name to hi, hi there, you can say that adios. So you can say that change is happening just like that, right? So this is like an amazing way that you can collaborate and edit. Now you can also create this from any branch of your repository or any open pull request, or any for example, if you have a pull request which is currently open, let me go and open a pull request for you, curl script. So this is basically trying to help you understand what is code space is all it's all about. Now I have a pull request over here. So this is basically like a team page which is created for you. Now I want to review this. So now let me review it. Now the contributor is really good because he has provided us screen capture for what changes he has done. Now the thing is like, I want to understand personally if there is anything else. Now what I can see in the code review is like a bunch of code over here. Now I want this to be review in code spaces. I don't have time to clone into my repository and install all the dependencies. So what I can do is like, I can click on review in code spaces, which will create a new code space for this particular repository. Now this has already created an instance. Now when I go back to my GitHub bars Codespaces, you can see this particular instance. So I can reuse this particular instance. So that's what it happens. So I created a GitHub Codespace for my current repository. Now building has been completed. So I can do the rebuild on the same Codespace and try to save the space and try to save the instance for the future work. Now what I need to do is like run particular commands like npm run dev. Just give me a minute. It should be ideally something like, okay, the npm is running right now. So give some time for this. So this will help me to run what he has created, and I will be able to see the changes which this particular person has done in my local environment. So this is basically like you don't have to clone and install all the dependency on your local system to see this. So this is like an amazing way that you can do the contribution. So you can also create this code space from a commit in a repository history and investigate any bug at any specified point of time. So I hope you understand how this is useful right now. All right. Now let it start, give it some time. So I will explain you how it's going to be work. All right, so the run has been completed. Now you can see the local host has been started in this particular location. All I need to do is like control click. Now here I will be able to see this is like an local host of that particular instance. So all the changes I will be able to see it over here. So this is not the real website. So for example, when I go of the team, and you can see extended button over here. So ideally the GSO script, you go to the real website and you go into the, I don't know, something is wrong with my system today. The network is so down. You go into the team, you will be only able to see 2024. So this is what extended they have been done, and they were able to make these changes. And now it looks like everything is good. So now it's very easy for me to review all the files and approve it. Awesome work. Submit my review. So this is how it makes it easy in terms of code review, the code spaces. All right. All right, now once all the people has been reviewed it, then I can do the merging. So that's how the code space looks like in the real-time environment. Now let's look into much more deeper perspective. So this is how the code space really works. For example, when you create a code space, what happened is like it happens for process. So one is like a virtual machine and a storage is assigned to your code space. Maybe like for one code space, they will be arranging 1 GB of data. It depends upon your repository size. Now, a container is created for you and a connection to the code space is made and a post creation setup is made. So everything has been done parallelly. So this is what happens in the container. Inside the Docker container, they will clone your source code. They will select the language which you're using. They will use the extension and everything. They will allocate a CPU and disk storage, and this all will be happening in a virtual machine of Linux hardware. And this will simultaneously communicate with you in command line or Visual Studio or how it's working. And this is Azure all happening in the Azure hosting. And you have a code editor where you can directly view and do those things. So rebuild, everything has been happening over here. So that's what really happens over when you run a code space. So I hope that was pretty evident for you. Now you can also enable this Copilot in code space inside a Copilot. So there are like different version how the way you can customize a code space. So you can set the sync in your Visual Studio and change your machine type, set your default driver, set the default region, set the timeout. There are like a lot of customization you can make. So in order to use the code space inside your Copilot, all you can do is like create a container called JSON and add this code space inside your GitHub Copilot. So this will help you to use GitHub Copilot inside your code space. So all you need to do is like create a new file just like this. The description is there in the link. The details is there in the description box. So all you need to do is like do the same procedure. So inside your code space, for example, let me go over here. So this is a code space. So here I can't use the Copilot. There is no extension. Either I can install the extension directly from here, or you can use this particular way that you can install the Copilot inside your particular code space. All right, so let me go back and show you my code space again. So in this particular video, I have created two code space. Now when I go to this code space, you will be able to see that particular code space I've been created over here, ideally. So you can see GSOC website new and my this particular PS code for my Sanjay skills. So this particular two code space has been created, and you can see how many GB they've been using and how many data they've been used in the last 6 days or something like that. So that's how you can work with Codespaces, and you have the Visual Studio extension for Codespace. You can go and troubleshoot it over here. All right, so now what is the difference between github.dev and github.codespace? So for example, github.dev, which I told you the above one, the first experiment over here, which is the dev one. So this is completely free, and GitHub Codespaces is like free monthly quota for usage for personal account, and availability is available to everyone. Again, this is available to everyone. And what happens is, like, when you do github.dev, it opens instantly with a key press and you can start using right away. But in Codespace, what happened is, like, it creates a virtual machine for you, and it creates a container, a Docker container with a particular configuration in the dev container.json, and which makes the setup much more easier for the complex projects. And you can also run GitHub Copilot inside this, just like that. And there is like no associated compute resources, so you can't build and run your code or use integrated terminals. So that's why we are using Codespaces. So if it is just like a profile view or readme file edit, this dev thing would be much more easy for you to do, rather than cloning it and doing it in your local repository and pushing into your remote repositories. Now, terminal access, there is no terminal access in the dev environment, but you do get a terminal access in the Codespace environment. Now, only a subset of extension, all the subset of extension, you can't use it over here. Sometimes there won't be many extension available here. So I'm not sure Copilot is available. Let me search. So yeah, Copilot is available, but it won't let you install. So in that case, you have to use this particular terminal in that particular way to use the Copilot. I don't think Copilot can be installed in straight away. Okay, you can install the Copilot over here. So that's the difference, basically difference between these things. So that's how we use GitHub Codespaces. And if you are a pro version, you can use a lot of Codespace features. Now let me take you into some basic understanding about how now it's the time for a game. Now pause the screen and try to answer this. So which directory is the clone placed in and after creating a Codespace? So let's look into the answer. So the answer is workspace directory. So this is where they have been creating a Codespace. So what's the maximum number of Codespace that you can create per repository? So it's all depends upon unlimited number of repository, but it's upon available spaces and upon the plan which you are on right now. All right. Then next one. What happens when Codespaces loses internet connectivity? All right, pause this phone for 5 seconds and try to answer the question. All right, so what if the connection to the network is lost while working in a Codespace? You aren't able to access your Codespace. That's it. Your Codespace will be still there. What defines the beginning of a Codespace lifecycle? So the moment when you create it, it creates, and the moment when you delete it, it ends. Now, this is like a classic example of what the projects and okay, so this is like another slide, so I just directly jumped into it. Now we will be talking about projects and all those things in the next one, how we can handle the projects. So basically about the Codespaces, this is basically the Codespace thing available to you, and there is like a dev extension and Codespaces, and you now know how to use the Codespace with your GitHub. So this is way much making better, helping the developers to do the much more complex development in a very simple clicks. So yeah, all right. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.